This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so so guys, today I'm going to discuss about a very important okay, hang on, let me close all of them. Okay, so today I'm going to discuss about a very important thing, which is executing the test in a non-GUI mode. Okay, so before I go there, let me see if I have any pending things from the last class. Yes, there are a couple of pending things from the last class. I would quickly go through them before I get into the current class. Okay, so did I show you how to create the scripts using Fiddler, guys? Uh, Yes, the session is getting recorded, Sase. Thank you so much for the reminder. Okay, so did I show you how to record the scripts using Fiddler, guys? I want to hear from all of you. Tensity says yes. Namrata says yes. Okay, okay, okay. So Abdul says yes. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So we have already covered the this thing. Okay, how to create the scripts using Fiddler. Okay, so okay, I think I've already told you Fiddler is a network capturing tool and all that. I've shown that. Okay, wonderful. So now, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you these two things. Very simple things. Okay, very important as well. I've been using these two things, but let me tell you the exact difference between these two. One is stop, one is shutdown. Okay, so let's see what is the difference between the stop and the shutdown, guys. Okay, so if you go back to this slide here, okay, you see this particular button is start. Okay, so it will start the test. Okay, it will start the test on the local machine. We'll discuss about this local machine and also the remote machine when we discuss something called a distribution load test, guys. Okay, so we will at some point of time, not now, but at some point of time we do discuss. Okay, we will discuss about this the okay distributed okay load test, which is a very important interview question as well. Okay, so that is when you will understand the difference between a local machine and a remote machine. Okay, so and the remote machine, but at this point of time, all I have is a local machine on which my Apache Jmeter is installed. So this is my local machine, the machine which I'm showing you, where my Jmeter is, where I'm using the Jmeter. This is a local machine. So this is for the starting of the test. Okay, this is for the starting of the test. Okay, so let me, and by using the thread group, I can define the number of users, and also I can define how many times I wanted to execute per user. For example, and number of threads or number of users are 10, which means that I'm running the script, whatever the script I am having here, I'm running the script with 10 users, and each user, let's say, is executing for 5 iterations. The user 1 will execute for 5 iterations, user 2 execute for 5 iterations, user 3 execute for 5 iterations. And ramp up period, in 1 second, all the 10 users will be up and running. If you don't want it, you can change it to whatever the time period that you want. Okay, but at the later point of time, I'll discuss about all these options, and also I'll discuss about this in detail. But right now, for executing, I wanted this to be set, so that's the reason why I'm discussing about only the important ones that I need at this point of time. Okay, so let's say I'll put it as 1 second. Okay, I'll put it as 1 second, which means that all the 10 users will be up in 1 second, and each user will execute the test for 5 iterations. Okay, so this start, my concentration right now is not to explain this. Okay, the later point of time when I discuss about thread groups, I discuss about all this in detail, but at this point of time I wanted to discuss about this button here, wherein I can start the test. Okay, I can start the test, and where? On the local machine, which is this machine. Okay, so as soon as I click on start, you will see the number of users getting ramped up here, and within 1 second all the 10 users are up and running. So this is what the start will do. This is what a start will do, is actually starting the test. Okay, so which is which is straightforward. I don't think I have to spend too much time explaining that. Okay, you see the stop button abruptly stop the test that is running on the local machine. Okay, so which means that if I stop the test, okay, it didn't, I mean, it already stopped it by itself because I've said only for 5 iterations. Okay, but let's say infinite iterations, which means that it will continue to all the 10 users. Okay, all the 10 users will continue to send the request to the application, okay, infinitely, as long as it works. I don't want it to put 10 users because it might create some unreasonable load on the application, okay, on the application which is demo kicker. So I don't want it to put 10 users, which will create an unreasonable load. I don't even have think times, okay. So infinite, okay, instead of 5 I just put 2 users, okay. So I decreased from 10 to 2 because I don't want to put unreasonable load on this application, guys. Okay, somebody has hosted it for free and we should not kill their servers. Okay, so they are helping us. Okay. Now you see I'm running with 2 users and I'm saying infinite, which means that it will continue, all the 2 users are now up and running, okay, and it will continue to execute forever until you take some action on this, whether you can stop or shut down. Now let's see the difference between stop and shut down. Okay, stop is abruptly stop the test without running. Okay, so if you remember in the controller there was 2 options. Okay, I'm going to the load runner, guys. In the load runner in the controller we had 2 options. One is stop now. Do you remember that, guys? Stop now. Second thing is stop. Do you remember these 2 options on the controller, guys? One is stop now and one is stop. I don't know if I have spoken about these 2 differences when I discussed about controller, but are you aware of these 2 options? One is stop now and one is stop. Yeah, yeah. Stop now will stop whatever the user is doing, it will stop abruptly. Okay, it will stop abruptly, and this stop now is equivalent to stop here, is equivalent to stop in Jmeter. Okay, this stop now option in load runner or in controller, okay, is equivalent to stop in Jmeter, which means that whatever it is doing at this point of time, it will abruptly stop and brings all the users down. Okay, but stop will take its own sweet time and complete whatever the work the users are doing, and then it will stop it. So let's say the user is maybe purchasing something, it will complete the transaction and it will stop in the controller. That is equivalent to, so the stop in load runner is equivalent to shutdown. Okay, in Jmeter. Okay, so I'm drawing the comparisons from the load runner to Jmeter because some of the students said I'm comfortable with load runner. So whenever you're talking about Jmeter, please do the comparisons as well so that it's easy for us to understand. That's the reason. If you have not worked on load runner, okay, or controller, don't even worry about it. Stop will abruptly stop it as it suggests here. Whatever the virtual user or the thread, okay, the thread, whatever it is doing, it will stop then and there itself, irrespective of whatever it is using, it will stop then and there. Whatever it is doing, it will stop then and there itself. Shutdown means it will gracefully shut down, which means that it will gracefully stop whatever the work it is doing, it will complete that work and then it will shut down. Okay, and then it will stop. You see, stop the test gracefully, allowing the threads to wind up. Threads here is users. Threads here is users. Okay. So you see, if I stop it, all the users immediately will stop. And if you look at the view results tree as well, okay, so whatever the work it was doing, it will immediately stop. It may complete that work or it may not complete that work, whatever it is launching. It may complete, it may not complete. Okay, but if you see shutdown, with 2 users, there's not much you can see. Okay, shutdown, okay, it will take a little bit of time and then it completes the work, whatever it is doing. Meanwhile, a pop-up will come as well saying that, it is slowing down. So if there was like 1,000 user test or 500 user test, you will clearly understand the difference between stop and shutdown, guys. Shutdown, it will take some time, 1 or 2 minutes to stop the test because it is gracefully coming out of the test. So whatever the threads that are doing, whatever the work they are doing, it will complete the work and then it will do it. So stop is, it will abruptly stop it and then it will stop the test. It will bring the threads to shut down. Okay, or it brings the thread to stop. Okay, so Imagine your children, they are playing the video games, okay? So they're playing some games on your mobile phone or whatever it is, okay? If the parents are very, very strict, okay? So when they ask the students to go and do the homework or the kids to go and do the homework, if the parents are strict, it is more like stop. So whatever the game that they are playing, so irrespective of whether they are in the middle or not, they will just shut down they will close the mobile phone and start the homework. But let's say the parents are little lenient and little easygoing guys and all that, okay? And then when they ask them to stop and then start the homework, they will complete that game. They will complete that game, and then then they'll start the homework. So this is like a lenient parents, and this is like a strict parents. Okay, just that you understand the difference. Okay. Wonderful, guys. Okay, so this is the difference between them. Okay, then you can if you execute the test on a remote machine, then there is stop on the local machine and stop on the remote machine, shut down on the local machine, shut down on the remote machine, start on the local machine, start on the remote machine as well. Okay, that we'll discuss at some point of time when we discuss about distribution load test. But this is an 100% interview question, guys. This is an 100% interview question. We'll discuss. There is more knowledge I have to give you before I speak about distributed load test, but at some point of time we will discuss this. Okay, wonderful, guys. So it's a small thing which I wanted to discuss, so I have completed that. Okay, so let me look at the notes. Okay, now we will go into the non-GUI mode. Executing in the GUI mode, I've already spoken about it. Okay, before going into the non-GUI mode, okay, there is one more final thing I wanted to talk about before I complete this load runner creating the script part. Okay, so far we have been busy and how to create the script. Okay, so now you see this final thing. Okay, I wanted to create a new script. Okay, now what all the elements, what is the first thing I add, guys? What is the first thing I add? I want them to unmute themselves and clearly and quickly help me out, guys. Okay, I'm new to Jmeter. What is the first thing I'll add? Okay, or else type it in your chat window. Okay,
HTTPS.
Okay,
HTTPS request.
thread group, and also and if you wanted to record, you go to the non-test element and then add the HTTPS script recorder. Is this it or something that you wanted to add? Wonderful, Gaurav. So in the thread group you will have logic controller. Typically a recording logic controller, a recording controller is what you want. Okay, so logic controller, where is my recording controller? Recording controller, let me delete that. Okay, and then do you want to add anything else here?
View results.
Wonderful. Add listeners and then view results tree. Do remember that view results tree is a listener. So do we need to add in the HTTP script recorder as well? Why or no? Why or no? Yes. Okay. You wanted to add it in the view results tree. Wonderful. Whoever is it Namrata who is speaking?
Swarna.
Swarna, wonderful Swarna. Okay, thank you. So we need to add. So this is the basic structure that you want. Whenever you want to create any script, you want to build up this basic structure. Okay, so Kumar, I create daily 5 scripts. Every time, like all the 5 times I have to build this structure, it is becoming a pain in the neck for me. Is there a way wherein the Jmeter gives this structure to me? Yes. Okay, yes. All you have to do is use the templates. Use the templates. Go to templates, and there are a bunch of templates that the load runner is suggesting. Okay, so here I wanted to create a web test plan. You see, I have to create a test plan for a web application. So building a web test plan, just click on that and then just click on create, and you see automatically it is adding a thread group, and it is also naming a thread group as scenario 1, which you can change. And these are the non-test elements, basic non-test elements which Jmeter is recommending you to use. One is the HTTP request defaults. I've already spoken about the significance of it. One is the header manager, which is important because every request has a header, and a cookie manager because everything has a cookies as well. So these are the 3 things that are important. So automatically these non-test elements, the symbol here signifies a non-test element. So how do you know it is a non-test element? So you see, you go to the samplers, you go to the config elements, and you see, sorry, these are the config elements, not non-test elements. These are the config elements. You see the HTTP manager, cookie manager, cache manager, HTTP request result. These are all the config elements. Okay, so you see, so all these components or elements are the config elements. Okay, so they have added all of it, and you see also they have named the HTTP. Okay, so here they have named the sampler as HTTP request defaults. So however, when we record, you will have that. Okay, but typically they will add a recording controller as well. It's weird, I haven't seen it. Okay, so they have added a sampler HTTP request. Okay, and they have added a think time as well, which I'll discuss at the later point of time. Okay, and these are the two HTTP requests. Okay, and they have given the sample HTTP request as well with the assertion points, which I will talk about at the later point of time, and then the view results tree. So they build the whole structure for you and give it to you. Surprise, the HTTP script recorder is not added. Typically in the older versions, this is 5.2.1. The older versions which I've used, which is 5.1.1, they used to add, I mean, once you build it from the template, they will give you the HTTP script recorder as well. Maybe there could be another template. So let me see if there is another template. Okay, so one is bean shell sampler. Okay, think time sampler, recording with a think time. Recording is what I have to add actually. Okay, hang on. So there is a template called recording as well. If you don't want recording, you can use the web test plan. But you are creating the script and then you wanted to use the recording. So there are two options for the templates. One is recording and one is recording with think time. I'll go with the recording. And you see recording in the output file, whatever it is recorded, it stores in the output file, and whatever the host to record, you can give it here, and whatever it is HTTP or HTTPS, you can give it here. It doesn't matter, to be honest, if you give or not. So I'll delete them. Okay, and whatever the recording is done, it will automatically record into this particular thing. I'll show you where this recording.xml will be there once the template is built. So if you don't want, you can delete this as well. Okay, you can delete this as well, but I'll keep it so that I'm going to show you where this comes. Okay, so now you see, okay, these three config elements. Okay, these three, okay, test elements, okay. Okay, sorry, config elements. So these three config elements are automatically added. Then the thread group is added. Thread group is automatically added, and they have also added the recording controller under which you wanted to record it, and they have also added the view results tree, and they have also added the HTTP script recorder and the view results tree under HTTP script recorder. The whole skeleton is automatically built by the Jmeter itself. Now you need not have to yourself go ahead and add it. You can use this structure and then you can start recording whatever you want. Okay, and you see and you see here, okay, and you see here the Jmeter is recommending us to save this view results tree. You see the log that gets generated while recording, that log will be there in the view results tree, and that log it is recommending us to store as well. So in my previous classes, I have already told you that the log that is getting generated, especially while recording, it is of worth gold and you really want it for future purposes. So you wanted to store it, and you see if you build the test from the templates, the even Jmeter is recommending us to store it. Okay, store it. Now whatever I record, the generated log will be stored over here. Why do we want to store it? Because if you don't store it, so for various reasons this can go away. So when you say clear all, or when you close and open the Jmeter test and everything, so this is volatile, and whatever the log that gets generated over here will vanish. So you really wanted to store that, keep it at some place safe, because when you do the correlations, when you do parameterization, there are so many reasons why you wanted that log. The log contains the request and the response, so you wanted to store it. If you build it from the template, Jmeter is also recommending us to store it. Okay, so now you understood the significance of building it from the templates, guys. All of you understood the significance of building it from the templates, the structure at least. all of you. This is very, very handy, guys. Everybody that I've seen of any Jmeter expert, they will start any script from the templates. They will not completely add it from the scratch. They go ahead and build it from the template. Now all they have to do is enable this and then start recording it, and then automatically the recorded content will be there in the recording controller. Okay, there is one more template called recording with think time. Okay, recording with think time. I would advise you to use this recording with the think time, guys. Okay, so this is the template using which, okay, recording with the think time is there. Okay, so go ahead and use this recording with the template. Okay, so when you today's assignment, okay, create a template. Okay, one is recording, just the recording, one is the recording with the think time. Okay, with the recording, go ahead and create a simple launch, login and logout script. Recording with the think time, go ahead and create a simple script which is launch, login and logout. First, start with this template. Go ahead, do your recording on the JPEG store. Then you can start your script, record the script using this template. Create this template and then go ahead and create and show me the difference tomorrow. Whatever is the difference, show me the difference tomorrow. Okay, that is the assignment, guys. Okay, are we clear so far? Can I go to the next? Can I go to the next concept or the next subject, guys? Are we clear so far, everybody? Okay, can I go to the next one? Okay, wonderful. Okay, executing in the non-GUI mode. Okay, in the earlier classes, I've told you what is a GUI, graphical user interface. Graphical user interface. Okay, so this is GUI. For Jmeter, what is the GUI? This is the GUI for the Jmeter. You see, whatever I'm holding and moving, that is the GUI for the Jmeter. And you wanted to execute from the GUI mode, you know how to do it. Just go ahead and press on the start button so that you will execute from this one. Okay, but non-GUI mode, and for GUI, okay, GUI for, let's say, SAP logon, launchpad, or else SAPGUI. What is the GUI for SAPGUI? Just go ahead and open it and you would know what is the GUI. I mean, whatever is the, sorry, hang on. Okay, so you see, this is the GUI for SAPGUI. Okay, so graphical user interface using which the end user communicates with the application, that is the GUI. Okay, hang on, guys. 1 second. Okay, wonderful. So if you wanted to execute in the GUI mode, you can open the Jmeter console and then click on this run button so that you will be able to execute it from here. Okay. In the non-GUI mode means you don't wanted to use the GUI, but you still wanted to execute the test. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Usually using the command line. Using this command line, you see the Jmeter console or the Jmeter GUI is not open, so you can execute from here, which is the non-GUI mode. You are not executing from the Jmeter GUI, but you are executing from the command line. Which is the non-GUI mode. Again, there will be a lot of interview questions around this. Okay, try to understand this non-GUI mode. Non-GUI mode means executing not from Jmeter. So where can we execute if not from Jmeter? You can execute from the command line. Okay. For executing from the command line, okay, let me talk about this Jmeter first. Okay, so you see Jmeter, where it is there, Jmeter is there, Jmeter folder is there in the C users, Sri desktop, and then Apache Jmeter. Okay, in this folder, again there is a folder called Apache Jmeter 2.1. okay, and then there is a folder called bin. In this bin there is a command, this command called Jmeter. If you double click on this, okay, hang on, let me close this Jmeter. Okay, if you double click on this, automatically the Jmeter will open. Okay, automatically the Jmeter will open. Okay. Okay, you see guys, the Jmeter has opened. Okay, most of you have been invoking Jmeter in this way as well. Okay, you go to the bin folder, you can invoke it from this executable jar file, or you can execute from this Windows batch file. Windows batch file. You see, you double click on it, automatically this program gets executed. If this program gets executed, which means that Apache Jmeter GUI has opened. Apache Jmeter GUI has opened. Now I wanted to execute the same thing from the command line. I wanted to execute the same thing from the command line. So what do I do? First go to this folder. What is that folder? Okay, what is that folder? C user. Okay, so I'll say we are already in C user 3. Okay, C user 3. Then go to desktop. Okay, go to desktop. So you say CD. Okay, and then desktop. Okay, now we are in the desktop. Okay, then go to Apache Jmeter 5.2.1. Okay, CD. Okay, then you see change directory to what? This particular directory. Okay, now we are in C users 3 desktop Apache Jmeter 5.2.1. Again I have Apache Jmeter 5.2.1. in that there is bin, so I'll say change directory to. Okay, now we are in C users 3 desktop Apache Jmeter bin. In that, what is that Windows batch file that I have to execute? Jmeter. Okay, so you say Jmeter, and if you look at the extension of this, go to properties. If you look at the extension of it, this is a .bat file. So you have to give the extension as well, .bat file. Okay, now you enter, you see the Jmeter is getting invoked. Okay, so Kumar, you said it's a non-GUI mode, which means that the GUI should not open. I'm not coming to that non-GUI mode as of now yet. Okay, I just wanted to show that from the command line, if I go to this particular, if I browse to this particular folder, and if I invoke this particular program from the command line, it will still open it. It's not just if you double click on it, it will open the Jmeter. You can go to that path from the command line, and you can invoke it from, I mean, if you invoke this program from the command line, it will still open this Jmeter GUI. That's what I wanted to show. So from the Windows, from the folder, you can double click on it, or from the command line, go to this folder and then just say jmeter.bat. It will still execute this program, which means that it will open in the GUI mode. So are we okay so far, guys? Are we okay so far? Everybody understood? Whether you invoke it from the folder or whether you invoke it from the command line, it will still go back and execute this back file, which means that as soon as it execute this back file, what will happen? The Jmeter GUI will open. Okay, if you want to execute this program, you can go to the folder, double click on it, or you can go to this folder on this particular command line and then pass this command, which is jmeter.bat. It will still execute this. So from the command line, you can execute this program, or from the folder, or you can execute this program. It will still open the same thing. This is what I wanted to show. Okay, now wonderful. First problem. So Kumar, wherever this folder is, every time I have to go do CD, it's pain in the neck. It's an easier way. Is there an easier way? Okay, there is an easier way. Okay, so first open the command line, go to this run mode, just to say CMD, you can open the command line. And now you have to say CD, change directory. It is difficult. So what I can do is copy the whole folder and just say CD and then paste the folder here. You cannot say Control V. You have to right click and then say paste. Okay, and then enter. It will go to that path. Okay, Kumar, this is difficult for me. Is there an easier way? Just click over here. And type what? CMD. Automatically the command prompt will open, and with that particular folder, you see you are there in the bin folder and it opens. Okay, let's say you are in the Apache Jmeter folder and you wanted to see the same folder in the command line. Here you type CMD, automatically it will open in the desktop Apache Jmeter command line folder. Okay, so almost everybody, whoever is the software engineer that I know of, they know everybody will do this. Okay, almost everybody. Okay, who knows this. Okay, this is a simpler way, and they wanted to open that folder in the command line. They just type cmd, and then on that, but first of all, the command line window opens, and that folder will be open. Okay, are we clear, guys? Easier ways to do the stuff. Are we clear with this one? Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, and also the LoadRunner scripts and the test also you can run it from the command line. Okay, which I never thought was useful, never explained, but you can take that as an exercise, and tomorrow you come back to me. Okay, what is the assignment? The second assignment, the first assignment is create the templates and then record the script. Second assignment is execute a LoadRunner test from the command line. Okay, execute a LoadRunner test from the command line. Okay, anything you can run it from the command line. Even a LoadRunner test you can execute from the command line. Take that as an assignment test. Okay, assignment 2, execute the test from the command line. So, okay, come back here. We haven't executed the test on the command line yet. So, we are just trying to see how to open the command line window and browse to the folder where your Jmeter is there. Okay, dot back. Okay, dot back. If I click on this, what will happen? If I click on this, what will happen? It is opening the Jmeter in a GUI mode, which I don't wanted to do it. I don't wanted to do that. Okay, so if I say jmeter.bat and press enter, automatically it is opening in the command line. Okay, maximize it. Okay, so it is opening in the command. It is opening the GUI of it, which I don't want. So you wanted to tell to the command line that I don't want to open in a GUI mode. Okay, so if I just type jmeter.bat, it is opening in the command line. Now you wanted to say that don't open in the command line. Sorry, don't open in the GUI mode. If I just type this and then press enter, it will open in the GUI mode. Now, along with this, I wanted to tell to command line that don't open in the GUI mode. By default, if I type this, what it will do? It will open in the GUI mode. Now, I wanted to tell to the command line that don't open in the GUI mode, which means that I have to pass further instructions to it. I want to pass further instructions to it. So, if I wanted to give further instructions, how do I do it? Give a space and hyphen, given space and hyphen. This is when you can give a further instructions to my command line. And what I am saying, what is the further instruction that I want to give? Whatever you wanted to give, whatever the further instruction you wanted to give, what is the general way by doing it? Give a space and hyphen. Now you can give further instructions to it. What is the further instruction? Don't open in the GUI mode. Open in the non-GUI mode. How can you do it? Just by saying N. N stands for what? Non-GUI. N stands for what? Non-GUI. Now you're telling Jmeter not to open in the GUI mode. By default, it will open in the GUI mode. Now you told Jmeter not to open in the GUI mode. How? Any further instructions? How you can give space and hyphen, and N stands for non-GUI mode. Okay, I'll open in the non-GUI mode, but open in the non-GUI mode, what do you want to do? I want to run a test. How do you say you wanted to run a test? Again, you have to give one more further instruction. So you have to give a space and hyphen. And what you wanted to do by opening in the non-GUI mode, run a test. So run a test. So hyphen T stands for running a test. But what test I wanted to run? What test I wanted to run? Okay. Let's say I wanted to run a test called issues.jmx. You see, .jmx means instead of saying issues.jmx. Okay, let this. Okay, hang on. Okay, one second, guys. I mean, issues. The name issues is not appropriate. So let me change the name of it. Okay, in the bin folder itself. Okay, there is class 4 script is there, so let's not worry about it. Okay, so there is something called class 4 script.jmx. Okay, so execute this particular script. What is that? If by opening in a non-GUI mode, you want to run a test, which test also you wanted to give? Okay, run this test. Wonderful. Okay, run this test. Space and then paste it. Okay, so run this test, which is this class 4 script.jmx. And you press enter. Now it will go ahead and execute the test. You see, okay, creating a summarizer, created the tree successfully using this one. So if it has created the tree successfully, which means that it has understood the script. Okay, starting the standalone test, At what time it is starting? This is an India time, guys. Monday, December 7:39 is the time now. So it has started the test at that point of time. Okay, so now you see summary, it has executed the test 277 minutes or whatever it is. So there seems to be little errors as well, and then finally it has ended the test. Finally it has ended the test. Maybe in that class 4 script. Okay, let me go back and see what's there in the class 4 script. Okay, not much is there. Okay, maybe with one user you're running for one iteration, and that's the reason why the execution has happened so quickly. Okay, so where is the class 4 script? Okay, so let me open that class 4 script. So let me see what is there. You see running one user for one iteration. Whatever is there in the class 4 script, you're running for one user, one iteration. That's it. Okay, let's say I'm running for infinite. Let's running for, instead of infinite, let's say maybe 50 iterations. Okay, but this is, I mean, you're putting too much load on it. So maybe let me add a, hang on. Okay, so let me add a timer. At the later point of time, I'll tell you what the timers are, guys. Okay, but right, just understand, okay, that there is something called timers. Okay, so let me add a constant timer of 300 seconds, which means that between every 3 samplers, it will wait for 300 seconds. Okay, 300 milliseconds. Okay, at a later point of time, I'll tell you what is this millisecond. I don't want it to put too much load on the servers, so I've decreased it using the timers. At a later point of time, I'll tell you what the timers are. Okay, now the test will run for significant amount of time. Okay, so let me save that. Okay, now let me go back and run the same command, jmeter.bat. Then what should I do? Somebody please unmute themselves and speak. Now what should I do? I wanted to give a command saying that don't open in a GUI mode. How can I do it? How can I do it? First, if I wanted to give further instructions, I have to give space.
Hyphen
Hyphen, then what?
N
Means non-GUI mode. And then again, I wanted to give further instructions to it. Space, hyphen, then what?
T.
Because you wanted to run a test. Okay, and which test you wanted to run? Class 4
script.
and click on enter. Now you see the test has started. The test has started. It didn't even open the Jmeter GUI. It is executing without the Jmeter GUI, and now you see it is executing the test. It is executing the test. You see active one user has started, and one user, you are running the test only with one user if you remember, but that one user is executing how many iterations? 50 iterations. Had there been more users, you would see all these users over here, and it will take its own sweet time to complete. You see, we have given 50 iterations. It takes a lot of time to complete, so it will execute until all the 50 iterations is done. And once the whole thing is done, it says create, finally it will say, you see, finally it will say tidying up and then end of the run. Okay, but right now the test is going on with how many users? With one users. You see how many active users? One active users, and it has been started. None of the users have finished. Okay, with the throughput of 1.5 seconds, the test is running. Okay, there seems to be some errors as well. There seems to be some errors as well. Wonderful. Okay, so the test will continue to go on, guys. So whenever you see end of the run, this is when you know that the test has ended. But right now the test will go for good amount of time because 50 iterations is lot of time. Okay, 50 iterations is lot of time. So have you understood, guys, now? And okay, so how you execute a test in a non-GUI mode? A definite interview question. Definite interview question. Okay, what is that? How do you run a test in a non-GUI mode? Just go back to the go to the folder, go to the bin folder of Jmeter. Go to the bin folder of Jmeter and give a command called jmeter.bat and then -n, -t and the test name. This is how you run the test in a non-GUI mode. Okay, I try to simplify as much as possible, guys, as much as possible. I cannot simplify further. Okay, if you still have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so whenever we study something, right, the first question we have to ask ourselves is why. Okay, when we can run the test in GUI mode, why we need to execute in a non-GUI mode? Okay, nobody has asked this question. Okay, now I'm asking this question to you. Can somebody please answer? Whatever you think is right, you answer. If this question didn't struck your mind, or if this didn't came to your mind, then definitely you would have had the answer, right? So I'm asking you, why we need to execute in a non-GUI mode?
More, I already thought of it. I wanted to ask you, but I did not want to interrupt you.
Okay, Okay.
Yeah.
Well and well. Now Leslie is asking. After me asking it, Leslie is okay, why? Why? Okay. So when you open in a GUI mode, it will take some of your resources, your desktop resources. When I said resources, okay, little bit of your CPU, okay, and little bit of your memory. Memory, whenever I say memory, it is the RAM that I am referring to. Okay. So, and when you run the test, right, you don't want it to waste your resources on the Jmeter. You don't want it to you don't want your desktop resources means the CPU and memory on the Jmeter GUI. You wanted to use all these resources on the virtual users. So your desktop CPU and the memory are the ones which will create these virtual users. You see, when you open this Jmeter, okay, Apache Jmeter, when you open this Apache Jmeter, okay, so when you run any test, okay, where is the open recent, okay, when you run any test, okay, so you say you wanted to run it with 100 users, okay, this whatever the necessary CPU and RAM that is required for 100 users, which is giving your desktop is giving the CPU and the memory for this 100 users, right? Your CPU, I mean, you are running the test on the local machine, which means that whatever the necessary RAM, whatever the necessary CPU that is required to create these 100 users, where they are coming from your desktop. From your desktop. If you are running it on a remote machine, where it will run from, it will get it from the remote machine. But now you are running it from the local machine, which means that whatever the necessary CPU and the memory that is required to create these 100 users or the 100 threads and continuously run it, all that is giving, the desktop is giving. And for opening this GUI mode also, the necessary CPU and RAM, who is giving? The desktop itself is giving. For opening this folder, the necessary CPU and the memory, who is giving? The desktop is giving. The opening this notepad++ and keeping it running continuously, the necessary CPU and memory, who is giving? The desktop itself is giving. So you don't want to waste. First of all, when you're running the test, you don't want it to open anything on your desktop. Okay, you want to close all the programs which are there in the desktop so that the complete CPU and memory will be dedicated to these 100 users. Okay, not even the Apache Jmeter, not even any of it. You want to close all of it, or any background process which is running, you close as many as possible. You keep only those essential applications open, very important applications open, remaining everything you wanted to close, because you wanted to dedicate the complete CPU and memory to these 100 users. And you don't want to I don't even wanted to open the Jmeter. Imagine imagine about the other applications. You don't want to open any of them, including the Jmeter, so that all the CPU and the memory that you have on the desktop will be dedicated to this 100 users. So basically, why we wanted to execute in a non-GUI mode? Why? For the better performance. Okay, simple answer is better performance of Jmeter itself. Better performance of Jmeter itself. Okay, are we clear, guys? Now the simple question: in the real world, how the people will execute, in the GUI mode or non-GUI mode? Option 1 GUI, option 2 non-GUI mode. In the real world,
Non-GUI
it's
option.
so obvious. It's so obvious. Everybody will execute in the non-GUI mode itself in the real world. Is it difficult to execute? No, man. It is very simple. You see, it has executed all the 50 iterations. Now it says end of the run. End of the run. Okay.
So
Wonderful,
if you
guys.
have more than one script, how can we do that? We have to give multiple script names on the command line.
Swarna, okay.
Yeah.
You are a performance tester. I'm surprised you asked this question. Okay. You have script 1. Okay. You have script 2. Okay. You have script 3. Okay. So in the real world, do you execute all these scripts together or separately as a performance tester?
And execute all together.
Okay.
Assign
Together,
the users.
okay, you create something called test scenario, okay, which contains all these 3 scripts and execute. So you have to execute the test scenario. So test scenario will have a name, and that's what you execute the test scenario. Basically, you don't execute the scripts from the non-GUI mode. You execute the test scenario from the non-GUI mode. At the later point of time, when I'm done with creating the scripts and when I come to creating the test scenarios, so it will still be, test scenario is also a .jmx file, which I'll show you at the later point of time. Okay, and then that test scenario you execute just like this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Kumar.
You don't execute the scripts in the real world. You execute the scenario in the real world. Scenario is also a .jmx file, which you execute in the similar ways. Okay. So Kumar, I have executed this test, which is jmeter.bat/n/t. This one. Okay. But where are the results? How do I know what is passed? How do I know what is failed? It's not even showing me here in this sense. Is this a valid question, guys? Where is the log? Where is the request that is spent? Where is the response that is got? Is it required to look at it? Yes, to understand what is passed, what is failed, and all that, it is absolutely required. Okay, but where is it? Okay, so is it a valid question, guys? All of you, is it a valid question? I have executed. It says executed as done. But where are the response times? Where is what is where can I see what is passed? Where can I see what is faced? Where is the report? Okay, and all that. Let's say yes. Okay, so in continuation, I wanted to give further instructions. How can I give further instructions to it? Just say space, and then what? If I wanted to give further instructions, and then what, Swarna?
Results folder in. We need to give the results folder name.
Okay, but how do I give further instructions? Okay, whenever I want to give further instructions, what is the first thing? I have to give a space
Hyphen.
and then hyphen. Wonderful. Okay, I want to give a hyphen, and you wanted to store the results or logs. It's not the results, it is logs. Okay, I always have been telling you, whatever you see in the view results tree, guys. Okay. Okay, so whatever you see in the view results tree, this is log. Okay, this stands for what? Log. Okay, so I want log. L stands for what? Log. Okay, and you want to give a name to it? Yes, I wanted to give a name to it. This is a class for log script. Okay, log. Okay, and what should be the extension of it? Every file should have an extension, right? This one I expect you to tell me. What should be the extension of it? Should it be .jmx?
XML.
XML? Can I put XML, guys? Can I put XML? Yes. Can I put JTL?
.cvs, yeah.
Yes, wonderful. Can I put CSV?
CSV, yes.
You can put any of them, but I see almost any performance tester giving JTL, because JTL is a specific extension which is built for Jmeter itself. .csv and .xml are generic extensions. You can use it as well, but almost everybody that I know of use the JTL. Now what you are telling, okay, not what you are telling, you open the Jmeter in a non-GUI mode. Once you open in a non-GUI mode, run this test, and whatever the log that is there, you create a log called class4scripts.log and store it over here. Okay, I cannot append the test in the non-GUI mode, but I can certainly execute it. Let me append it. I don't want to execute for 50 iterations, so let me run it for how many iterations? Let's say 5 iterations. 5 iterations is good enough, or maybe let's say just 2 iterations. Okay, 2 iterations. Now close this Jmeter. Okay, now go ahead and enter. Okay, Rama, I'll take that question. That's where my next point will be. But first, let me open the log. Let me show you that the log is created. Now the test has been ended. Okay, ended. Now the log. What is the log that we are expecting it to generate? Class 4 scripts log.jtl. Okay, but now you tell me, where is this log generated? Class 4 script log.jtl. Will it be generated in my C drive? Option. Will it be generated in my C drive? Option 1. Option 2, desktop. Option 3, bin folder of Jmeter. Where do you think it will be generated? Option 1 or 2 or 3? I know I haven't explained, but logically think and tell me where it is. So Abdul, you have been quiet. I'm surprised. Okay. So again, don't think that I have any special considerations for Abdul, guys. He is one guy who is always active. That's the reason why I'm asking. Okay. But don't think that Kumar is showing some partiality or anything.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, because I I'm very cautious with these kind of things because I heard people telling me this. Okay, so Kumar, you have been more partial to certain guys. Okay, you don't. I mean, you always make sure that their questions are answered. No, guys, I think I'm taking the questions from everybody, but I do take certain names like Usman or Abdullah, certain names because they have been active. Leslie, because they are active, and
Yeah.
offline also they have been in touch with. Okay,
Yeah.
please don't think that I'm partial to something. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
Kumar, I'm waiting for the point where you're going to explain why we need to run from the command prompt. So I'm just waiting for it.
I'm already done with that after. So which means that
Yeah,
you're not.
I mean for the CI for purpose of CI, right?
Okay. Oh, continuous integration. Okay. With the Jenkins, that I'll cover it later, not now. Jenkins and all that, I'll take it on the weekends. Okay, that
Sure,
is not
sure.
part of the course. But if somebody is interested, then I'll take it on the weekends. Because if I say I'll take the regular classes on the weekends, so somebody will have some work. So there are extra topics which I say that I'll take on the weekend. You don't have a choice. If you can attend, you can attend. If not, no. Okay, so yes, 3. So logically, everything is happening from the bin folder. You're executing, you see, you browse to the bin folder and you're executing it from the bin folder. So you expect that the results will be stored in the bin folder itself. The scripts will be taken from the bin folder and the results will be stored in the bin folder. Okay, now you say, Kumar, so Rama, I'll take your question, but let me complete my class. Then, let me come to the logical ending of the topic that I'm discussing. Then your question will be automatically answered. If not, I'll answer that question. Okay. Now you see, if you pay attention, okay, the script. Okay, sorry, I haven't shown you that. Okay, I haven't shown you the results part. Okay, so let me sort it based on the date. If the results file would have been created, it will be created in the bin folder. And if I sort it by date, it should be the last one. Okay, so if you see class 4 scripts.log, and this is just generated at 7:43. Just generated at 7:53. Wonderful. The log file is generated. Now you tell me how to open this one. How to open this one. Right click and say open with something. Okay. Just should I say edit with Notepad++? If I say edit with Notepad++, it will open, but I will not understand anything about this log. Okay. How do I open this? Okay. So at least tell me what is the software I should use to open this one. Excel, Notepad, option 1 Excel, option 2 Notepad, option 3 Jmeter itself. Which one should I which software should I use to open this one? Option 1 Excel, option 2 Notepad, option 3 Jmeter. Okay, so Jmeter, it's quite common because JTL stands for Jmeter text log. Is that correct, guys? What does the JTL stands for? Okay, is that correct? JTL. What is it? JTL stands for, okay, Jmeter text log. Okay, JTL in Jmeter. Okay, in Jmeter. What does it stands for? Okay, what does it stands for, guys? You see Jmeter text log. Okay, so obviously we expect that this will open in Jmeter itself. Okay, your guess is right, it will open in Jmeter. So obviously first I need to open the Jmeter to look at the log. I'll have to open the Jmeter. Okay, so I'll have to open the Jmeter. Okay, let me open the Jmeter. Okay, create any template or just add the non-test, the listener, which is view results tree, and this one you browse and then open the class.jtl, and you will be able to see there are 2 iterations that you have executed. Seems like both the iterations have failed for a particular purpose. At the later point of time, we will look at as to why something has failed. Okay, looks like everything is passed, but I'm not sure why this is marking as failed, but everything under it is passed. Anyways, so you can look at the log, you can look at the request that is being sent, and you can look at the response data. You can look at the response. Okay, request and the response. You can look at the request and the response as well. Okay, so this is how you can store the logs, and later point of time you can open the log. If you have opened in a .csv, you could have opened in the Excel sheets itself. Okay, but since you've stored it in .jtl, you have to use the Apache Jmeter to open it. Apache Jmeter to open it. Okay, any questions, guys? Any questions? Let me go back to Rama's question. Okay, That's what I have done, right? With one command itself I have done. Okay, so if you look at it, this is the whole command. This is one command, jmeter.back -n -t class 4 scripts -l class 4 scripts.log. This is one command for me. Okay, but it has lot of additions or conjunctions. Okay, but Dejanu, this is the only way that we can do. If you say that jmeter.back and then one command to do it, only one command like -c or something like that, no, it's not there. First, why it is not there? Because you wanted to give the script name and you wanted to give the log name. All you are saying is /t script name /n the log name. Okay, Dejanu? Okay, if you are thinking much simpler than that, no, it's not there. Okay, if can I post it on the chat window? Okay, let me see. Okay, mark it and then it will allow me to mark, I believe. Okay. Okay, now I right click it and then I think it has copied. Yes. Okay, Rama have done it. Okay, go ahead and do it. Okay, so there is one pending question from Rama which I will take, but let me take a 5 minutes break, guys. 5 to 7 minutes break. I'll come back, and once I come back, expect the class to go for a little longer today. Okay, little longer today. Today, Ayala was showing concerns that we are not. I mean, we are a little lagging behind for his students. He wants to make sure the students are ready after the Christmas for the interviews. So yes, and so guys, you are losing interest whenever I take a break for certain reasons. Okay, be honest with me, guys. Okay, so is it I mean, are you losing interest whenever there is like breaks of 1 day or 2 day? uh, okay, I want to hear from you, honest opinion, guys. Okay, okay, do understand that, please understand that I'm a human being as well, and I do have a lot of other priorities. Okay, sometimes, I do want to push myself to take the class. Either I don't get if I wanted to do it on the weekends, all the students are not cooperating, and on the weekdays sometimes there will be some work, okay, which I cannot ignore. Okay, only then I'll take the break. Okay, but if there is something like that, please tell me. Okay, but for fun I'll not take the break, guys. You see how much efforts I put into my classes. Okay, so I take this field, or take this education very seriously. Okay, and I make sure that every penny that you pay will be useful. Okay, and I make the classes as interesting as possible, which means that I have to put a lot of efforts on my side. Okay, even though the class is only for 1.5 hours, 2 hours. Okay, my brain continuously works as to what is the example, what is the best example I have to give. Is all the 21 students who is attending are understanding or not? Okay, so there are different people, IT, non-IT, different people, so I need to keep all that in mind. Okay, so certain energy goes into it, lot of energy goes into it. Okay, so that's the reason why sometimes I take the break. I feel like, I just wanted to go somewhere, okay, from everywhere, so that I come back fresh. So it happens every 3 weeks, 4 weeks. That's the reason. But without break, I'll try to complete this course probably by the end of this month. Okay, don't lose any interest, guys. Okay, very interesting stuff. You're not just learning Jmeter. There's so many things that you're learning. I'm sure you're learning so many things, just not Jmeter. Okay, which makes you a good IT guy. Yeah, Gaurav, I do understand as well. Okay, even I felt that's the reason why I brought it up. Okay, so let's not waste any of the time again now. Okay, let me take a break and come back. Gaurav, I totally agree with you. Okay, so if it was the middle of the week, that would have been made sense. But if it's the end of the week, 4 days is a long time. Okay, anyways, so after the class, after the break, I'll come back and talk about the folders. Okay, so if not from the bin folder, my script is elsewhere, what should I do? Okay, I'll answer that question. Okay, and then guys, let me take a 7 minute break and come back, guys. The recording will be on. Hello. Okay, guys, are you able to hear me? Can you confirm? All of you? Are you able to hear me? Okay, let's get started. Okay, so before the break, so let me check if this, I mean, if the session is still getting recorded. Okay, yes, it is. So before the break, okay, we are discussing about, the command and then jmeter.bat, that's a command. Okay, /n-t class4script.jmx, that is the script, and then that is the file. Okay, all good, all good. Okay, now. Okay, if okay, so this is all working. This is the command that you're giving to the gym on the command line. Okay, so this is the command that you're giving on the command line. It's all good, Kumar, but this one is there in the bin folder, and the results are also getting stored in the bin folder. But if it was another folder, let's say this class4 script.jmx is there in some other folder. Okay, if it is not there in the bin folder. Okay, class4 scripts.jmx. Okay, where is the class4 script? Man, where is it? It was there here all this while, right? .jmx file.
Apache Jmeter 5.2.
Oh, it was there. Oh, this is 1.1. Okay, hang on. I have two versions, so it is getting me confused. Okay. Okay, so now this class4 script is there in this bin folder, so automatically the root folder is bin folder, so it is picking up from here, and also it is creating the results over here. Okay, but this script, okay, is somewhere else. Okay, let me delete the log file. Okay, this script is somewhere else. Okay, so let's assume the script is, oh, there is already a folder. The script is over here. Okay, so the script is over here. So let me delete all these logs. Okay, the script is over here. What is the folder? C users free desktop Apache 5.2 class4 script. So if this is so, so how do we run it? So what do we do to this existing command, or this existing command? What do we do, guys? Okay, any guesses? Can unmute yourself and speak. Any guesses as to what you have to do? If it's in the bin folder,
Add the path.
Add
Add the path to the GMX. Yeah.
Wonderful. Just add the path as to wherever this script is. Just add the path to it so that my command line will go and then go to that path and pick up the script from there. Okay. If you don't add the path, it assumes that it will be there in the bin folder. If you add the path, it goes to the path where the script is there. Okay. It goes to the path where the script is there, and it will execute it from there. It will execute it from there. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, and you want the results not to be in the bin folder, in some other folder, just go ahead and add the path. Just go ahead and add the path so that the results will also be stored over there. Okay, all I've done is just added the path, guys. This is the path, okay, where the script is there. Okay, and this is the path where my log file should be generated. Okay, it's as simple as that. Now go ahead and copy this and execute this in the command line, and then that's it. You see, the script is getting executed, and you see in this path, okay, which has nothing to do with the bin folder, it has executed the script and it has created the log file. As simple as that, guys. So Rama, was this your question? Because I didn't study, or I didn't actually understood your question, or not understood, but I haven't even seen your question. Okay, was this your question? What? Yeah. So somebody wants to speak? Yes, please. Okay, was it by accident? Okay, fine. Okay, wonderful. Clear. Okay, wonderful, guys, wonderful. So this is what is the importance of executing in the non-GUI mode, and this is how you execute it. Report, somebody said, how can I get the reports, Leslie? Okay, at the later point of time, I'll tell you, Leslie, it is possible. So basically you have to add more, you can append more to it, /r, and then you can give the path name or whatever it is. It will create the reports as well, but at this point of time I don't want to talk about it because we didn't even created the scenario. Let's not talk about the reports at this point of time, but definitely I'll cover it at the later point of time. Okay, at the later point of time. Okay. Okay, now there are a couple of things more. Okay, couple of things more which I wanted to cover. One is the infinite loop, which I'll cover, and the second. This is what I'm writing it for myself, guys. Okay, I'm writing it for myself. Okay, you need not have to worry about these ones. Okay, stop from command line. Okay, stop from command line, and there was one more thing. Stop, not shut. Stop. Okay, and there was one more thing which I wanted to tell you before I move to the next chapters. Oh my God, what was it? My memory has been becoming very weak these days. What was it? Okay. Anyways, forget about it. So let me tell you how to stop. You know, if something you didn't like it, or you know, you don't want it to, for whatever the reason, you wanted to stop. Okay, the execution. Okay, first let me create a scenario wherein you had to kill it or stop the test. Okay, let me open the Apache Jmeter. Okay, okay, the same class 4 script, I'll take it. Okay, now I'll run it for infinite. Okay, I'll run it for infinite, so it will continue as long as it wants. Okay, until you stop it. Okay, but in a GUI mode, you know how to stop it. You can either press on this button or this button, but the same test you are running in a non-GUI mode, and the test by itself will never stop because you have put an infinite loop. So how do we stop it? First, let me start the script. Let me start the test. Okay, so, oh, no. Okay, so yeah, this is the command. Okay, now you have started the test. Okay, which is the class 4 script which is there on this particular folder, and this will continue to execute because you put an infinite loop. Okay, it will continue as long as you, I mean, if you leave it for 10 days, it will execute for 10 days, but there should be some manual intervention. You wanted to stop this test somehow. How can you do it? Or you can go to the bin folder. You know the execution is happening from the bin folder because you see you browse to that path. You see from the bin folder you're executing this command, even though the script are say there in some other folder, but you're executing from the bin folder. So obviously you have to stop it from the bin folder itself. Now you tell me carefully, you observe here, do you think there is a command here which will stop the test? This test whatever I've started, okay, it will not stop because it's an infinite loop. Do you see any command here which will commands which will stop the test?
Yes, there is stop and shutdown.
Stop test and shutdown. You can use both of them. I've already shown you the difference between both of them. Stop test will stop abruptly. Shutdown will slowly shut it down. You can use any of them. All you have to just say is double click on it. You see sending shutdown request to that port 4445 using which Jmeter is executing. If you say enter, automatically the test has stopped. You see the test has stopped. Had you not given that, it will execute forever because you put an infinite loop. Okay, so you can use both these commands to stop or shut down. Okay, Leslie, whatever the results that you're seeing, the log file itself is the results file. Okay, using the log file, you can create the results file at the later point of time. I'll tell you. So whatever the log file that you have shown, using that log file, you can create the results file, which I will talk about at the later point of time. Leslie. Okay, so when we talk about the scenario later on, I'll tell you how to use that log file to actually generate the results file. Okay, I'll clearly show that, but now is not the time. Hold back with your question. Hold on to your question. Okay, maybe in next week. Okay, after 5 to 6 classes, when we talk about the scenario, I'll definitely talk about that. Okay. This is how you can shut down on the command mode. If the test is not stopping by itself because you have given an infinite loop or you have started the test which is 1 hour, but you realize that you missed something, then you can either shut down or stop using the commands which are there in the bin folder. Okay. Okay, now I remember, but this is not what, after the class I'll talk about this. Okay, environment variables. Okay, so I'll talk about this later, guys. Okay, when I'm stopping the class, I'll talk about this, but not now. Okay, wonderful. So are we absolutely clear? Because there's a lot of interview questions here, guys. Okay, lot of interview questions. Why execute from the command line? How you execute the test from the command line? How do you store the results? Where will by default where the results will be stored, or and all that. Okay, so many interview questions we have covered. Okay, so should we continue for the next topic, all of you? Okay, and there is one more thing. Should I continue for the next topic, guys? Yes, yes, it's the same. No? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, everybody seems to be excited today, so let me continue. But before I wrap up wrap up this section here, there is one more thing I wanted to tell you. CLS means clear. Okay, so I need some additional help. I can't remember this hyphen N, hyphen T, hyphen L, hyphen R. I cannot remember all of this. So Kumar, can Jmeter give me a help? Yes, Jmeter. Okay, dot back hyphen, along with that hyphen help. Okay, hyphen help, it will give you all the help the Jmeter has. Okay, it will give you all the help that Jmeter has. What did I say? Jmeter dot back hyphen Jmeter dot back help. Okay, now you see to run the Apache Jmeter in a GUI mode, what do? Jmeter.bat and then the property files. There are something called user properties, guys. Okay, so which I'll talk about at the later point of time when it's required. So user properties and Jmeter properties file. So you have to give a properties file so that it will execute in the GUI mode. Okay, in a non-GUI mode, how do you execute? You see, if it's a Windows machine, you use Jmeter.bat. But if the Jmeter is installed on a Linux machine, you say jmeter.sh. But now my Jmeter is installed where? On the Windows machine, so I've used jmeter.bat. That's what I've used. And you see hyphen T, hyphen N, hyphen T, hyphen stands for opening in a non-GUI mode, hyphen T stands for test, and whatever is JMX file you have to give. And then you wanted to give a results file, hyphen L and the results file, and hyphen J with the log file. Okay, hyphen L with the results file, hyphen J with the log file. Both of them pretty much same. You can explain. Basically, you try to explore both of them. What is the result file? What is the log file, guys? For me, both of them are same. You explore. So this is how it is. If you really wanted to remember hyphen N, hyphen T, hyphen L, to be honest, no. But from the interview's point of view, yes. Why no? Because you say jmeter.bat and then help, it will tell you what to do. Okay, and you see, if you wanted to generate a report in a non-GUI mode, how do you do it? Hyphen N, hyphen T, hyphen LR, and then hyphen E and hyphen O, hyphen E and hyphen O, and give the folder. You can create the report, and the report will be stored in this particular folder. /O hyphen O means it will generate the report, which I will show you at the later point of time. Okay, so like this, all the commands are given. You can play around. Okay, you can play around with all of this. Okay, depending on what you need. But typically, most regularly used is hyphen T, hyphen N, hyphen T, the test name, and hyphen L, the results name. This is what people use. Either you can use that, okay, or hyphen J log file, or hyphen L results file. And one of them you can use. So this is the very most predominantly used ones. But there are other commands as well. You can play around. Okay. So what did I do to get this command, guys? What did I do to get these commands? Jmeter dot back hyphen, okay, space hyphen means more to it. Okay, so he help. So automatically it will give you all the help. It will give you all the help, guys. Okay, now I have a question for you guys. Okay, so I'm saying jmeter dot back. Sorry. Okay, instead of jmeter dot back, okay, if I say please mute yourself.
My back. Too bad.
Okay, Abdisa. Thank you, Abdisa. Okay, Scott. Thank you. So if you have a question, unmute yourself and speak some questions. Okay. So instead of jmeter dot back, please mute yourself, guys. Please mute yourself.
Mommy. Back.
Scott, can you please mute yourself? Scott, can you please mute yourself?
Oh, hold on 1 minute. Sorry.
Okay, no issue. I'm waiting for you to mute. Scott, if you have a question, ask me. I'm muting you temporarily. Okay, thank you, Scott. Thank you. Oh, she has totally left. Oh my God. Okay, so instead of jmeter.bat, if I say jmeter, do you think the test will run, guys? You said test will run. Why or no? Why or no?
It has more than one Jmeter name with the extensions, right? Different extensions.
Yeah, but there is only one Jmeter here, to be honest, in the folder. Okay, if you look at it, I mean the ones which is executable, there is only one. Yeah, as you said, there is more than one. One is properties file, one is the text file, one is the file. But the executable ones, there is only one, which is Jmeter. So to be honest, it will work, guys. Okay, if you instead of saying jmeter.bat, if you say just Jmeter, it will work. Okay, let me show that to you as a proof. Okay. Let me delete this log file. If it executes, it should create this log file in this folder. Okay, so pretty much everybody that I know of, they don't say jmeter.bat, they just say jmeter because it will pick up. Okay, so you see the script is executing now. The script is executing and the GTL file is also created. And as the execution is going on, it will continue to add the log into the GTL file and the size of the log will increase. Okay, so it is finished. So you can say jmeter.bat or you can just say jmeter, it will still work. It will still work. Okay, wonderful, guys, wonderful. Okay. So let's stop it here, guys, because I see people are leaving. Maybe they have work and all that. So we'll stop the class here. I wanted to take half an hour more, but I've seen at least 3 to 4 people already left. Okay, for whatever the reasons. Okay, so let's stop the class here. And if you have any questions, I'm ready to take. If you're clear with the interview, clear with the assignments, go ahead and do the assignments. Okay. Any questions, guys? Any further questions?
Kumar, this is Varna. I have a question. Like, do you also show us the API test with the Jmeter?
Okay. So Swarna, since you already attended my API classes, okay, so you do understand what is an API. So I can quickly create a script for you and show it to you. Okay, Swarna, let's do it now. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes. Okay. So people, whoever is interested, they can stay back. Okay. So what Swarna is asking is, okay, how to use Jmeter for API testing. Okay, so this is the question.
Instead of this performance load test, it will be helpful for the developers, right? Like which API is taking more performance test, so that we can provide it to the developers.
Yeah. So let me pick up a sample API, guys. Okay. So rest.in. This is not part of the coursework, guys, but I'm showing you. I'll be pretty quick here. Okay. So what was the website, guys? Rest.in. Rest.in. Yeah. So let me pick up one sample API. Okay. So you see, this is the API. If I run this API, here is the response for now. Okay. How do I build a Jmeter script for this? So it is very, very simple. So this is, I'll show you for the get request and I'll show you for the this request as well. Okay.
Now, if they ask us to do the API test, do we need to ask them to provide these APIs to test it, or we need to go and figure it out, the APIs?
How do you know what the APIs are? They are supposed to.
Yeah, supposed
to.
You will not be able to figure out or find out on your own. You need the API URI, you need the account, associate accounts, you need the header information, input parameters, and basically if you get hold of the Swagger and there's a documentation of the particular API used in your project, that would be great. Developers, anybody who consumes, and it's not just for the APIs, it is helpful for them.
Okay, so Swarna, thank you, Abdul. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
as you can see here, I've started building it from the template, not regularly. So the closest template which I can use here is building a SOAP web service test plan. Okay, so
Okay.
I'll create that, and automatically, as you can see here, it has created the template. Okay, so there are any user-defined variables, you can pass it here. At a later point of time, I'll talk about these variables. For now, this is not required. Let me remove them. Okay. So as Abdul said, without they giving the APIs, how do you know what it is to test? Okay, so obviously you cannot know it.
Okay.
Okay, so here this is a GET request. Make sure it is a GET request here. Okay, and then the URL, I already copied the URL. Okay, get the URL and body. There is nothing there in the body. Okay, so you don't pass anything in the body or the parameters, and you have the GET request. Okay, so here is the IP address. So here is the IP address. Okay, and here is the path. Okay, here is the path, here is the IP address, here is the path, and this is HTTPS. So I'll put HTTPS here and take away HTTPS from here. Okay, so here is the actual URL, Swarna. Okay, so is the actual URL HTTPS, we should come here. Okay, recrest.in is the server or the IP address, it is come here, and this is the path, it has to come here. Are we clear, Swarna?
Yes. Yes, Kumar.
Okay, so maybe you can enable this view results tree, okay, so that you can look at the results. For now, I'll not put any assertions, okay, or any headers is required. I don't think any headers are required. If headers are required, we will go ahead and enable it and add the headers. But for this request, I don't think the headers are required. Okay, I'm not sure. If there are any required, we'll come back and look at it. Okay.
Okay.
Now you can look at the view results tree. Go ahead and execute it.
I mean to say, like, for API, suppose there is application, I just have to give the login URL. If I want to test login also.
Okay, I'll come back to it. You see the response, page 2, page 6 total, page this. Is this the same response? Okay, hang on, let's look at it. Okay, you see page 2, page 6, 12, page 2. Can you see that, Swarna?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
and
Kumar.
the format is different. You can bring that in. This is the JSON format, I believe. You can bring it to the JSON format from here. Okay, so you see, I brought it into the JSON format. Now it looks identical. You see, page 6. Okay, total is 12. Data is Lawson or whatever it is. Okay, Lawson, Michael, Lawson. Okay, Michael Lawson. So you got the response. So all I have done is get the URL, okay, and here is the URL, okay, and here then figure out it is HTTP or HTTPS, which you have to put here, and the server name you have to put here, and the path you have to put here, and figure out it is a GET request or POST request, you put here, and then you just run it. That's it. Isn't it taken less than 5 minutes, right, for me to create this request?
But how can I tell them, like, okay, in the view results you will have, if it fails or it's taking more time, then we can tell that this is the API which is causing the performance issues.
And then you see view results tree, or you can add the listeners, right? Appropriate listeners. Okay. So you see listeners. Summary report is what you can add. I've shown you all this, right? Aggregate report you can add. Okay.
Yes.
And view results in the table. Okay. And then you can add view results in the table. Okay. So these three
Kumar, I
responses.
wanted to add something.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Swarna, you will see many APIs you will be calling in your test project. Okay, one will take some time, other will take some time. Okay, so the amount of time they consume is based on the processing needed behind that API calls. So there is no straightforward way of looking at the time consumed and tell that this particular API is taking more or less, or this has some issues. But only you can guess why one particular API is taking longer time than the expected times. Like for example, there are some 5 second, 5 milliseconds, all those things. So standard, industry standard time if it goes beyond. And you need to really look at the log of the server, what's happening behind the server, okay, in the server, or you need to look at the Dynatrace or any app dynamics APM tools to see why exactly what's happening behind the call. Like, is the database store procedure taking longer than expected time, or there's something issues going on the back end. So we'll have to keep a close eye on exactly what happened. Basically, we're trying to say we need to look at intelligently on the server side what's happening. Jmeter is giving us the power to stress the server or consume the services in a fashion as expected in the real-time environment. But what happens on the server without looking at the logs, you will be it will be half a story basically.
Yeah, because we don't have access to the servers. This is a
Oh, you
cloud-based.
should have the access to the logs.
Okay,
Not
so
necessary to the server, but you should have the access to the logs.
okay,
Okay.
Swarna, in short, how do you the analysis? How do you do the analysis for web application? On the same lines, you have to do the analysis for the web services as well. Nothing will change. The web application code will be there on the app server. Web services code is also there on the app server. Web application will, if required, go and contact the database or query the database. Web services also, if required, go and query the database. So you have to understand the architecture and see what all the servers which are involved for that kind of web services or web service. And then when you run the test from here and you have to do the server side analysis, you, as Abdul said, you have to use the APM tools like Dynatrace or ArcDynamics or CA or any of those tools, and you can do the server side analysis. But Jmeter will give you the client side metrics like what is the 90 percentile response times, how many hits are happened, how many throughput, maybe those kind of things. Jmeter will definitely give you that information. Okay, it's just like your web application, nothing changes in terms of monitoring, in terms of executing. But here we cannot record it, we'll have to build the request, that is the only difference. That's about it. Everything else is similar. Okay, so I've shown you how to do it for a GET request. I'll show you how to do it for a POST request. Okay, POST request, the URL changes. Take any POST request. Okay. Okay, post request. Okay, so let me create one more request here. Sampler, it's an HTTP request itself. You can name it as a SOAP 2. Okay, SOAP request 2. Okay, and it's not difficult. Okay, I think I should have given this as an assignment. Okay, but you know, since you have asked, okay, I'm giving you. And this is a post request. Okay, and the path. Okay, and you know it is HTTPS. Okay, and you know the server as well. Okay, it is request.in, or you can copy it from here. Okay, okay, wonderful. There should not be a forward slash here, otherwise there will be 2 forward slashes. Okay, just the server name, just the server name. Okay, now there is a body for this request. A post request usually have a body. You have to pass this body. There are multiple ways you can pass this body into the request. You can put the body data and put the body over here. Okay, now all done. Okay, so here let's say SOAP request 1, and this one I'll disable it. Okay, so let me go ahead and execute this test. Okay, let me go ahead and execute this test, which means that it will execute the SOAP request 1. Okay, so let me go ahead and run it. Okay, so if you go and look at the summary report or aggregate report or view results tree, you see SOAP request 1, it is sending, and you see this is the response. It is created.
Okay, I can put that SOAP request 1 as, suppose it's a login, and then I can name it SOAP request 2 as clicking on the accounts link or something like that,
Create
right?
user. This is create user. You can give a name to it. Earlier, whatever you have built, okay, whatever, let me enable this. So whatever you have built, that was the first one, which is list request.
Okay.
List users. That's it.
Okay.
Right? But these are the HTTP request samplers is what you get. Okay, it is very, very simple, Swarna, to be honest. It is much simple.
Meaning, like, I need to get this information from the developers, right? Like what they want to test, I need to ask them to get the get and post requests.
You need to get the HTTP or HTTPS, you need to get the server, and for each service you have the URL, you have to get the server URL, and you have to understand whether it's a GET request or a POST request. You have to understand that if it's a POST request, typically there is a body, you have to get that, and apart from that, most here it doesn't have headers, but most of the requests will have a headers. You have to get the header information, and if headers are there, then you enable this one and add the headers here. You see content type, what is the content type, soap action, whatever it is, and language, it is there, give the language. Key value, this is what we call it as key value pair. So you give a key and a value, key and a value. Like this, if there are 10 headers, you give all the 10 headers in the header manager and add it under the request.
Okay.
Simple.
Yeah, got it, Kumar. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody else, is it okay, guys? Are you able to understand? I don't think it's difficult. We have done this for already for using LoadRunner. ED,
Yeah, Kumar, it's clear. Yeah. Do we have anybody doing manual web service testing in this call today?
Anybody from, I think one of the guys.
Kumar, my question is.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Ask the question. Go ahead, ask the question.
Yeah. So my question is like, what levels of tests we need to perform on a web service? For example, do we just do the status code testing, or do we need to verify the data, or what are the different types of levels of tests we usually perform in the industry? Because it varies.
Checkpoints, right? You mean to say that what are the checkpoints you need to add, right?
Not really checkpoint, basically. Yeah, you can say checkpoints, basically. Yeah, that would be a good example.
You need to say that if this request is passed to be 100%, it is passed correctly or not. How do we check it? Okay. So one is, as you said, you can check by using this response code, which is 200, or with the OK message. But what I would suggest is check with the data. Okay. Here it is a JSON, the output is JSON, and check something over here, maybe Lawson, or last name is Lawson, or per page 6, you can check here. So here for this request, which is create user, it has, this is list user, right? For this one, which is list user, you can add that assertion, which I'll tell you at the later point of time. Okay, you can add a JSON assertion and you can put a JSON value. Okay, maybe if you think that the list user blah 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 is there, it should be a pass. So let me go to the view results tree. Okay, if per page, okay, 6 is there, then it is a pass. So you can put here, I believe. Okay. Assertion JSON path exists. Okay, additional assertion value. Maybe if you can put here like this, then I think it will work. I need to figure out. It's been a while that I've used it, but actually,
yeah, I got the idea, Kumar. But you know what happens? This will give you only half of the story. I mean, solution, because what happens is, say, you have 10 web services, and you are checking the status code, you're checking the data, expected data in the response body, and everything looks good. But when these web services are consumed in real-time application, there's some problem where we see. There's a data, of course there's data, but the data is not serving its purpose when it is sequenced and ordered and chained, how the requests are chained. So that is where the real business scenario comes in. And when we give a proper logical ordering of consumption of these services, that's where we see the problem. So I was thinking on what additional we can bring to our best practice for carrying out the web service testing, not apart from just testing the status code and the validating of some data on the response.
Validating the output. Okay. First, before I take the Abdul's question, okay, there seems to be some issue with the JSON assertion that we have put, guys. When we discuss about the assertions, I'll come back to it. Maybe there could be some regular expressions that I'm supposed to build. Okay, so I believe that. But let me see. I think this is. I just wanted to see this run. Okay, it's still not working. Anyways, so at the later point of time, we'll work out this assertion, guys. Okay, it's not the request is failing; it is the assertions that I've put is wrong. So that's what I think is incorrect. But anyways, we'll come to that later. So Abdul, if I need more, I need again the explanation. Okay, in concise. I understood half of it because your voice is not clear, to be honest. A lot of background noise. So can you ask that question again, please? So I didn't understood it in its entirety. Abdul. So Gaurav, I'll take the question after Abdul's question. Okay, Gaurav, are you there? Abdul, you have muted yourself. Okay, please unmute, ask the question, then I'll take Gaurav's question. Okay, so since Abdul is on mute, Gaurav, can you please explain? Okay, Abdul. Yeah, go ahead, Abdul. I'm not able to hear you, Abdul. Abdul, we are not able to hear you. Okay, so Abdul, fix your speakers. In the meanwhile, let me give chance to Gautam. Gautam, can you please give more clarity on the question, because I don't know how to check how many headers are implemented for API. I didn't get that question.
Sorry,
Typically,
I had power loss, so I have a data connectivity issue. Sorry.
okay, yeah, go ahead, Abdul. Gaurav, just hold on. I'll come to your question.
Let
Yeah.
let Gaurav go. Let Gaurav go. No
Okay.
problem.
Yeah, it's a simple question. First, let me answer Gaurav, then come to Abdul. Gaurav, are you there? Gaurav Date, buddy, I know your question was waiting for a long time. Sorry, I didn't take your question. Okay. Gaurav, are you there, buddy? Hello. Gaurav, I need more clarity on that question. How do you check how many headers are there? Usually, the developer will give you all the headers. When they give the service to you, they will give you all the headers that goes with that service. And you just have to add it over here. And here in this log, okay, in this log, view results tree, okay, typically in the response, okay, in the request that you send, it will tell you what all the headers that you are sending along with this request body. It will tell you what all the headers that you are sending along with that. You see, with this request, I am sending two headers, which is connection, SOAP action, connection type. Okay, so these are the three headers. So if you want to, if you see content type, SOAP action, you are already sending. Okay, content type and SOAP action, and connection alive, it's a basic headers. These are typically which will be sent, these three, without you asking as well. But if you wanted to send more headers, you can send more headers here. The developer will give you what all the headers that you have to add. He will give you here. You add all of them, and to make sure that all the headers has been actually sent by Jmeter or not, you can come back here, go to the request headers, and validate if all the headers that you have added is being actually sent by your Jmeter or not from here. Okay, Gaurav, I have answered your question, but I don't know whether you're listening or not. Okay, but you can come back to me. Okay, if you have any questions, or you go back to the recorded videos to look into it. So Abdul, now it's your question.
Yeah. Before I go to my original question, I wanted to ask one more question in this context. Is there how do I add the validation? I mean, the login credentials. Like sometimes we provide the LDAP login authentication to the request itself when we are sending the request.
That okay, that has nothing to do with the request. It is something to do with the server. Okay, it's a one-time activity. So is typically it will be here. There is something called HTTP authorization manager. Using this HTTP authorization manager,
Basic, okay.
Username, password, domain, and other values. Okay, so you can clear the authentication for each iteration, or you authenticate only once so that it is applicable to all of them.
Okay, so there's a basic authentication and there's one more, right? So everything is covered in with this HTTP authorization, or do we need to provide?
If not there, then I think you have to write your own piece of code, or maybe there could be some additional plugins which I talk about at the later point of time. How to get the
usually it is provided in the SOAP UI, right? You provide all those authentication. I'm just trying to see if that can be achieved here.
You see LDAP extended request defaults, LDAP request defaults, login config element. You can play around with these ones.
Okay, no problem. So going back to my original question, the question
username and password. So it's the basic login. You can try that. And if you say LDAP, okay, LDAP authentication is not there here. You see, LDAP extended request defaults are there and request defaults are there. Okay, but you don't have an LDAP authentication. But I think the regular authentication will work. Okay, because whether you're, I mean, authentication after authentication has happened, then you have an LDAP or something like that, I believe. So this should work. Okay, you can try. I've used this HTTP authorization manager for a lot of projects. Okay, it works. Actually works.
Okay. Thank you.
LDAP.
So
Okay, you see LDAP request defects, the server name is there, port name is there, and domain entry is there. So I think you can use this one. Can you see that, Abdul?
Request default. Okay. Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can get more help on this one, okay? And help. If you want to get help on this, you press on this one and press F1, I believe. No. Okay. You can go to help and get more help on this one as to how to use this
Oh,
application manager. Okay. It's
okay.
LDAP. Okay. So, coming back to your question, yeah. Is everybody listening, or is just my communication between Abdul and me? Everybody there in the class, there are 10 members.
When we
Listening, guys, all the 10 of you. There is Raghu,
yeah,
Swarna, Natasha, Namrata.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, if you're not listening, then I'll take it offline. Okay, wonderful, guys. I really appreciate you guys listening to all
yeah.
this conversation. So Gautam is listening. Gaurav is not listening.
So
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
so there are two validations we perform, like
Mhm.
state status and validation for the response. Some data
Abdul, again you're breaking on me.
the response. So these are like static validation. Static validation has you my
Okay.
connectivity.
So you
So
want a
yeah, sorry,
dynamic
my
value. You can match a regular expression, and wherever the dynamic value is there, you can build a regular expression there. Abdul, did I answer that question?
yeah. So uh, that's correct, Kumar. That's a straightforward basic validation. So my
Again, I can't hear you, Abdul.
web services, no
Abdul,
matter what kind of data validation you are doing.
you
Hello, can you hear me? Okay.
I mean, you're breaking on me. There's a patches in patches. I'm able to hear you.
Oh yeah, I have a poor connectivity because I lost the power, so it is going on my data connectivity. I mean data on the internet.
Right.
So that's the reason. So I'll try to say again. So
Okay.
apart from the data validation, irrespective of the status or the response data, as you mentioned with the regular expression,
Right.
we need to completely test the workflow using web services calls. That time, even if there's a data, the data is going to result in a failure because of the various logical reasons. So in this case, like we need to sequence this consumption of the web service in a proper order or particular order, or change this
Okay.
response from one
One thing,
request to another.
so Abdul, let's keep it very simple. We are not doing manual testing.
Okay.
We are not doing functional testing. What we are doing is performance testing. Performance testing is all about how fast the
No.
service is. Okay. Now let me
The,
complete my point. Okay. So
okay.
all these validations that you are telling, right? Usually an APM manual team will complete it, and once they believe that the response is in a particular format that it should be, then it comes back to us for load testing. Okay.
No,
Now,
Kumar, that's not the scenario, Kumar. These days, our performance testers are deployed in very early stage of the integration cycle. Even functional testing team have not even work on that piece of
you're
a
saying
user story for functional testing. So
okay.
it's like a parallel when, yeah,
Okay, now you tell me what actually. Let's take it realistically instead of saying this one. So in here, I got
yeah.
this response.
Say for example, I have the shopping. I need to place an order on a Amazon website and buy it using web services call. So I'm trying to place for an order that doesn't exist, but I see in the product catalog the order shows some description. I'm trying to place it, doesn't show up on the my shopping cart. It doesn't give me the add button to
So then it's your
add to the
data
cart.
setup issue. It's a data setup issue, right? So you are
That's what exactly that data issue is one of the major issue where
okay.
data exists
You
but
do
data
an
is not
activity called
usable.
data scrubbing. Okay, you do a activity called data scrubbing before you actually do a load test, which means that you take away all the unwanted data before you actually run a load test. Okay, you don't want it to make your script dynamic so that it will. Okay, fine. You added all that coding. Okay, maybe you can use a bean shell or groovy to create whatever you wanted to do. Jmeter will not know what should be the order and all that, right? So obviously you have to write a piece of code for yourself. Maybe you want to make your scripts very complicated. You can do that, okay? And Jmeter will identify it. But even though Jmeter has identified, do you think you have put appropriate load to do the load test? Let's say out of, you didn't do this data scripting activity, out of 10,000 requests, let's say half of them are invalid because of your data issue. So obviously your load test is not the right load test you have done. So you have to go back and run the load test again because you haven't put the right load. Okay, think about it. You know, we are doing the performance testing. Okay, so what I would suggest is do a data scrubbing activity wherein you delete all the unwanted data. Okay, make sure the test runs with the highest.
No, that's correct, Kumar. Your point is valid, but what happens is in certain situation, scrubbing the data is not possible. The reason is we sometimes always point our application under test in a lower environment to the production replica of the databases where we cannot pump in our scrub data, or we have to consume the right data from the pool of whatever data we provided. Let's say there are 1,000 records, only 20 are useful. Then they'll say use 20, you reuse them again and again so that you make 2,000 calls out of it.
Okay, so let me give you my example. Not recently, it's while I was working, I was doing performance testing for internet banking application. Okay, now, okay, so let's say 1,000 accounts are there. Okay, I am running a test for balance transfer. Okay, so you're transferring from account 1 to account 2. Okay, account 1 to account 2. Okay. Okay, you're transferring the money from account 1 to account 2. I have run a load test. Okay, all the money which is there in account 1 has been transferred to account 2. There is no more money which is left on account 1. Okay, now I wanted to run a soak test or a stress test. There is no money in account 1. Now I can't go back to the developer and or database guys and say that, okay, this was an exact replica of production. But I can't go back to them and say that, oh, fill my account 1 with a lot of money because I wanted to transfer. Either you change account 1 to account 2 to account 1. Now you, for the stress test, what I have done, I've made account 2 as account 1 and account 1 as account 2. I made some changes to the existing scripts. Or what I did was I had some data setup scripts. Okay, wherein it will fill money. It will fill money, okay, into account 1. So before I run my next test, which was a soak test, I used to execute this test. It has no value addition at all in terms of response times or in terms of the project. But this is
that's
only
your test data preparation, right, Kumar? That's your test data preparation and the prerequisite activities you need to perform.
Yeah, so
because performance test will run only for 2 hours, but 8 hours we'll spend data preparation.
No, I didn't set up 8 hours. I've ran it with a certain number of users, maybe for an hour or 2, so that it will fill up the account 1. And I used to leave it overnight so that the next day when I come, the accounts are ready. So this data setup scripts are also required scenarios. So in your case, what I say is out of 10,000, okay, only 20 are good. Then it's up to you to create the other 9,800 all by yourself with the scripts, and it's a one-time activity. Okay, or you can, if the database team or something are very helpful, you can do it. So however complicated you make your scripts, your Jmeter scripts or LoadRunner scripts, it will identify and say that this is a bad request. Okay, but it will not make a bad request a correct request. Okay, so eventually you figure out and you say that all the 9,800 of them are bad by using some assertions, or you have added your custom code or whatever it is, but you still have to go and execute the test which is good for 10,000. Do you agree with me, Abdul? Okay, Abdul. Now I'll leave the floor to you. So it's up to you. I mean, this is what my take. So sorry to stop you because I wanted to complete what I wanted to say. Okay. So now, okay. Did I answer the question, or I'm just dodging the question? What do you think?
You answered the question in a in a specific complexity of the scenario, Kumar. But
So
the real-time scenario itself is such a complicated. You cannot just sail on the sides. I mean, you need to get into the water with real complexity, where
okay.
the real-time scenario is much complex than the ATM bank or any banking related application. Just trying to be brutal honest in this particular area, because
Right.
the real scenarios are the way different than what it appears to be, because especially these days the test data, setting up test data is the biggest challenge. You can execute the test in any given tool, any day, any sort of technology, but simulating a real-time scenario with the right amount of data to be able to consume all your requests needed or you plan for your particular load, it's the biggest challenge.
Okay. Maybe I haven't understood your real-time challenge probably to give the answer in a correct way. So do you want to explain it once more? Because you are breaking on me. So
Oh
whatever,
yeah.
let's go ahead and
See,
let
yeah.
me try to
Say, say,
understand.
say for, say, for example, uh,
Okay.
we have the data which when we use it. So in your banking application, you said you have one account and you have some money. Money gets out, money comes in, and debit and credit operations you can perform many times and create many scenarios. You will never run out of the data, correct?
Right.
Because if you created a scenario in such a way that you are debiting the transaction, you are crediting the account, and you always have a data in your application to play with. But there are certain application, it is beyond the debit and credit. So what happens is, for example, you are planning and scheduling some activities for particular staff
Mm-hmm.
on a given day
Mm-hmm.
across the month. They needed to be perform that particular operation on that particular window. They cannot do before or they cannot do after, and because they have certain windows across the month to perform certain activity. So in order to simulate this and perform some action, you need to have say hundreds of thousands of records and find out who is available for that particular activity and if they are eligible or not. So lots of data hunting is data preparation and time goes, in order to find out the first of all what kind of data you need to, because preparing the data upfront on a sidecar and bringing that data into the real-time application, it is totally not allowed in the terms of you don't need get it like the data is coming from mainframe, and mainframe data is again consumed using the web services, and thousands of client application will consume this for performing this kind of activity. So going back to the source of the data and pumping your test data,
It's
it's
very difficult.
it's not
So,
allowed basically.
so what you're expecting from me, you yourself is saying,
No.
and that's
I'm I'm not asking for a right answer or wrong answer, but these are the challenges, and if you have come
challenge.
across
Yeah.
how you deal with those, like apart from creating a test data, keeping it ready for your
So let me
cycles.
give you your approach. I did understood what you're telling me. So there is a window which is active and only active for a certain period of time. Okay, so that's your saying. So did I face that situation? Not exactly what you have, but certain situation like that wherein once the data is consumed, it's gone. Okay, I have faced a situation which has a volatile data. Okay, which means that you spend 3 days setting up the data because it is, as you said, it is coming from various systems. Okay, so you understand all the systems and there are web services involved, there are so many things involved, so you understand so much just to create the data, and after spending 3 days setting up the data, you run one test, all the data is gone. Okay, I have faced this situation. So what I have made the database team to do is to create a snapshot of the database, which they can do it. Okay, let's say you have done with your data setup on, let's say, Tuesday. Okay,
Yeah.
Tuesday in the morning 9 a.m. you have completed the data setup, which took, let's say, 1 week of time. At 9 a.m. ask the database team to take a snapshot of the data. Okay, now on Tuesday, okay, at 10 a.m. I've executed the test. Executed the Okay, since it's a volatile data, okay, all the data is gone, which means that they're no longer in your case the active will become inactive because you have used up the data. Now I wanted to run another test, which is the second round of load test. Either I have two options: go back and create a data setup which is of 1 week of effort, okay, or I ask the database team to revert back to the snapshot. If they revert back to the snapshot, it will be exactly at whatever it was at Tuesday 9 a.m. Exactly it will be in that particular snapshot. Then I can go back and execute.
Correct. So in this scenario, what happens is
And believe me, that time also will go back there. I don't know, but it will go back to the time which is Tuesday 9 a.m. So in this case, for you, it will work in terms of time as well.
No, Kumar, what happens is a snapshot, again, if you try to reuse the snapshot data, the data will become stale and application will not respond to that stale data because it needed the data for that particular window. Anyway, this is complicated, very complicated actually. The moment you say you have stale data and you are trying to reuse the data from the previous week, your application will not work on the old data itself. You need the current data. So
data snapshot to a previous time, which means that the application will take a previous date. Even though it is Wednesday, the application will think that it is Tuesday.
No, it has to be Wednesday on the data itself, because what happens is the day is passed, the application will not work for the on the past data.
How does the application know it's previous day? It is taking the time from the
because that doesn't fall under that window where the application need to operate on the data. Once the application finds the data is outside the window, it will ignore. Because once you bring the snapshot data, which will carry the previous dates, and application will filter out the stale data which you took the snapshot. So my approach for that was, we needed to build a lot of mock web services with the dynamic timestamps and everything. Every time we call that service, it will return with the current window time frame data set, so that application will make full application saying that this is the right data coming from the right source with the right conditions. So we needed to kind of design the application just to provide the test data itself. So
okay, maybe in your case it might not work, but for my case I have faced that situation which is more like time sensitive. Your time is so wherever the server from which application is taking the data. Okay, so we used to backdate it to whatever the time. So application will know the time because it is taking the time from a particular server, right? So the server date itself used to backdate, but I don't know how it works because you said your architecture is very complex. So if you're backdating one server and it is integrated with so many other servers, maybe it might fail somewhere. You have to check it, but we have done this as well. So I don't know, different projects will have different styles when it comes to test data. Okay. So in one place we have used DB snapshot, the other place we used to backdate, the other things I have created the scripts itself to create the data. So different approach. There is no one single approach.
Yeah, that's what it varies based on the business complexity involved in the application, and based on that you need to keep creating. And one more thing is, say for example, if I have created data for January, I'm trying to reuse the same data for February month. Okay, just for instance, so February time frames and windows are different, totally different than the January. So in that case, I cannot use that January data in the month of February, even if I hack the dates and everything.
Okay. But you have to your database team and development team to see what is the easiest way to create the data. So there was a project where I requested
Abdul, can I tell you one thing?
Sure.
If they are triggering at the end of the month, that means you can ask them for testing purpose. That's a bad job which it will be executed on that particular dates, right? Every month of the ending. So you can ask the developers.
It's not a bad job for a month end. it's a more complex than that. It's every day some thousands of batch job will run. But,
So there was once as well wherein I asked the DB teams to create the queries to create the data. So whatever the data that you need, instead of flowing it from the application,
sure.
okay, I asked them to just create the queries which will create the data.
It got
So
okay.
they said it's very, very complicated, and then it comes from sources
First
and
of
all
all,
that. Yeah. So this is a good interview question, guys. So what are the challenges
also, yeah,
while creating
yeah.
this?
The developers also, shrug with their responsibility of anything got to do with the data. Data creation is not their responsibility. Data quality is not their responsibility. And yeah, that's what the question is. The functional team will find some way of, either depending on the mock services or take the or suck it up on pain of creating the data and perform the testing. Sometimes, even data related issues will pop up on our integration testings. So I mean that is experience problem I'm trying to share here. But if we are trying to see, it is very simple and we can get away with providing this responsibility to the database administrator or to the developers. That's not how it's going to help, because the program manager, when they engage performance testing guys, they will see that they are the responsible for everything in terms of running the scenario. So they'll say, take a help from the DBA team, coordinate with them. The DBA team will be busy with their backup script, and he will not entertain your request. So in an enterprise environment, it's not that easy. Okay, lots of bureaucracy, lots of red tapes.
Yeah. So I do agree. I mean, these are all the real-time issues which I've faced as well. But one time, trust me, I got the DB team to create a query for me, which will actually create the data that exactly needed for me. Okay, that was only one successful time I was able to pull in the client time program manager. I mean, for the whole program, and then have the programming manager talk to the DB team. Then they listen and created it for me. Okay, because nobody
I'll
wants
tell
to.
you one scenario, Kumar. I'll tell you one scenario where our main data was hosted on a mainframe, and there are 10 to 20 applications which were consumed are dependent on this data on every month for entire month, because different activity happen on this data across the month. Then that will schedule some activity to the different user. Okay, so this mainframe data comes from a planning team. That team will plan this activity for every user before start of their month. So they'll pump the data, manually alter and submit the data to the mainframe. And from the mainframe, this data needed to be consumed by various applications. So how they'll connect? So there was an interface of web services. So these web services were exposed to the everybody who want to consume this data. So one application will again take the data and add something onto it, then push it back to the mainframe using the web services, and again it will go back to the mainframe. Then again the data is available for the other downstream application. So like this, whenever the turn comes for that particular application, the data should be in a proper way for them to perform the test or perform their performance. So it's a layer on layer and circles of the data being added, and it gets very complicated. So that's a real time scenario.
I mean, I was involved in so many projects, trust me, but yours seems to be the most complex one, I'm telling you.
Yes,
Okay.
it is
I
comes
was
from the airline domain. It is comes from the airline domain, and airline domain. I have seen this one of the most complicated scenario. And any domain which requires, like planning, scheduling, or the data is not valid. Today's data is not valid tomorrow, or whatever day is passed, the data is become still like yesterday. What we did is that gone. Still, you cannot go back to that old data and use it. So
I know.
that's the thing.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, Kumar, for answering. But again, I mean, every application has different challenges, and it's good to learn and share whatever we get across, right?
Right. Okay, so let's wrap it
Thank
up,
you. Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kumar.
Yeah, thank you.